At exactly 7:42 that morning, I was staring out my window at a scene straight out of a fever dream. A 10-foot wide trench split our HOA's prized Sycamore Lane cul-de-sac in half. Orange cones everywhere, like someone had called in a construction crew, but forgot to mention it to the people actually living there. I swear, it looked like SU versus sat nose to ditch, just standing there, baffled, like a herd of confused cattle blocking morning traffic. And right at the center of the chaos, there was Trina Hallbrook, clipboard in one hand, hot pink visor yanked down low over her eyes like she was about to lead troops in a battle. You could have heard her shriek from 2 blocks over. Who authorized this moat? The way her voice cracked, you'd think someone was tearing up her rose bushes instead of the street. And my Grandpa Leo, calm as you please, standing there in his flannel pajama pants and steel-toe boots. The man's a legend for that alone. Honestly, cupping his ear like he needed help hearing her, just grinning. Nature, he said, so deadpan, I nearly spit my coffee. And the county drainage map. Okay, let me back up a sec. My name's Miles Ortega. I'm a UX designer working from home. The kind of guy who needs his coffee strong, his morning silent, and his privacy fence solid enough to keep all the HOA's opinions physically out of my yard. My wife and I picked this old 1960s ranch at Cottonwood Bluffs for the pecan trees, the stray cat who showed up one night and never left, and the fence, that glorious, weathered cedar fence, older than most of the board members' political ambitions. That fence had survived more storms, barbecues, and dog escapades than I cared count. Honestly, it was the one thing that made the place feel like ours. But then came Trina Hallbrook. Picture someone who treats neighborhood bylaws like sacred scripture, organizes traffic cones like they're chess pieces, and has that scary ability to smile and threaten you at the exact same time. She started with friendly notices about our so-called non-conforming legacy fence. It was too rustic, not the right shade, an inch too tall, you get the idea. After the 6th letter, she announced the HOA patrol would be assisting us with compliance. I told her as politely as I could that her assistance wasn't needed. She just smiled, click, like a deadbolt sliding home. Cold. Final. Then, on Tuesday, while I was deep in the zone debugging a client's prototype, a chainsaw fired up outside my window. You ever hear a chainsaw at 8 a.m. and immediately think, yeah, today's the day my life goes off the rails? My heart dropped. I looked out and saw 2 guys in neon vests and some teenage kid with a GoPro on his head. Not even kidding, stomping through my yard like they were filming a new season of Extreme Makeover, Homeowners Edition. Chainsaw roaring. They started hacking through our old fence like it had run over their dog. Only problem, they'd misread the property survey by a good 4 feet, and they were well onto our land. Now, Grandpa Leo lives in our guest house. 40 years as a county road foreman, and he probably knows more about drainage and property law than half the engineers in town. He steps outside, mug of coffee in hand, steam rising like he's exhaling pure authority. He doesn't yell, doesn't threaten, just says cool as can be, put my fence down. About 30 seconds later, Trina shows up, phone out and already recording, voice all sing-song and smug. It's a community aesthetic issue. We voted. Fences have to be taupe and 6 feet tall, not 7. No rustic textures. She air quotes rustic, like it's some kind of slur. I grabbed my phone, dialed the sheriff's non-emergency line, told them we had trespassers with power tools. Trina, this part kills me, called 911 to report non-compliant aggression. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. Meanwhile, the patrol just kept right on cutting, piling up the fence slats like they were trophies from some weird suburban hunt. Grandpa just watched the rainwater pooling along the curb, eyes narrowing, tracking the street's slope like he was doing geometry in his head. This street's crown wrong, he muttered. Been wrong since they paved it quick to impress a realtor. It wasn't until 3 p.m., when the sheriff's deputy finally rolled up, that things started to get interesting. While I was digging up our property survey on my laptop to prove the cut fence was actually ours, Trina posted a little video to the neighborhood social group, all smiles, showing off the community heroes removing an eyesore. And boy, her loyalists went wild. Comments, likes, digital high fives. You'd think she'd personally rebuilt the Alamo. Then she pushed her luck. She told the patrol to start grading a new post line on our side to ensure compliance. She even ordered her landscaper to dump gravel on our grass. Visual continuity, she called it, as if my lawn was some kind of failed art project. That's when Grandpa walked into his workshop and came out with a rolled-up county drainage plan, like he was about to drop Excalibur on the HOA. Because here's what Trina didn't know. Our property sits on a legally recorded stormwater easement, an official overland flow path. Years ago, the HOA paved right over it when they built up their private circle road. No culvert, no drainage, just pure arrogance. Cutting that fence, believe it or not, reopened the path like unzipping a raincoat. Grandpa called his old friend at County Public Works, laid out the story calm and precise. The guy just said, "Leo, send me the coordinates if the HOA obstructed the flow. That's a serious violation. Document everything." Next morning, Grandpa was out there before sunrise, backhoe idling, survey flags fluttering along the easement. He stretched mason string, checked the grade with a laser, not out of spite, not for revenge, just because that's how hydrology is supposed to work. He carved a perfect drainage channel, 2% slope, textbook stuff. Water finally had somewhere to go, straight down the legal easement across Sycamore Lane, right where the HOA had paved over the original swale. And just like the universe has a sense of humor, by 9 a.m., it started pouring again. The trench did exactly what the county map promised. Water rushed through, slammed into the HOA road, and, finding no culvert, just kept going. Cut a chocolate-brown canyon across the pristine asphalt. People skidded to a stop. Golf cart got stranded mid-splash. It was like a miniature disaster movie, with everyone's Ring cameras rolling. When a sheriff showed up this time, he brought backup, a county engineer with a clipboard that practically radiated authority. They measured, took photos, whispered, nodded. The deputy looked at our property survey, then at the shredded remains of our fence, and you could see the gears turning. Trina tried to muscle her way into the story. "He vandalized community property," she shouted, pointing at Grandpa, like she was expecting a SWAT team. The engineer just tapped the map, deadpan. He restored a designated drainage easement on private land. Then, flat as could be, you, however, obstructed it and committed trespass. Also, who authorized cutting a fence not on HOA property. The teenage GoPro kid, bless him, started sweating bullets. I just needed volunteer hours for school. The county didn't waste time. That afternoon, they shut down the HOA's little private road until a real culvert could be installed. County specs, non-negotiable. Sheriff cited the HOA for criminal mischief, trespass, and unlawful grading on private property. Insurance adjusters swarmed the scene by evening, tossing around words like subrogation and personal liability for board decisions outside corporate authority. Suddenly, HOA drama had become neighborhood theater, folks dragging out lawn chairs, popcorn, some neighbor's dachshund in a raincoat. Honestly, I was just waiting for someone to start selling tickets. The emergency HOA meeting that night looked like a circus, held in the clubhouse because the cul-de-sac was now a legally sanctioned moat. The county engineer gave a presentation that made the board turn ghost white. You paved with the wrong crown, eliminated natural runoff, flooded 3 properties, destroyed a fence you didn't own, slides and all. Grandpa got up, invited by the county, and just schooled everyone. Explained slope, base course, and shocker, the radical idea of reading the property plat before firing up a chainsaw on someone else's land. Then came the board vote. You could feel the tension break. 48-1 to remove Trina from the board. The lone vote for her? Trina herself. The treasurer tried to abstain by faking a sneezing fit. The directors and officers' insurance people demanded immediate restitution and mandatory training for the whole board. The fallout? Oh, it was glorious. The HOA had to pay for our brand new fence, 7 feet, cedar, cap rail, everything, plus damages, survey costs, and Grandpa's backhoe rental. They were forced to put in a real culvert sized for a 25-year storm. Under county supervision, no shortcuts. When they installed it, the county engineer handed Grandpa the ceremonial golden shovel for the ribbon cutting. Trina had to hold the ribbon. It snapped early. Everybody clapped anyway. Trina Hallbrook stepped down as president under a consent order. She got fined $8,000 for the property damage and illegal grading, banned from entering any yard without written permission, and sentenced to 180 hours of community service, which, in a twist I will never stop laughing about, included filling potholes and handing out Know Your Easements brochures that she had to get signed by Grandpa every morning. At the final hearing, the county clerk read her sentence. You could watch her face turn every shade of embarrassment. $8,000, she whispered, barely audible, all that bluster gone. The gavel cracked down, echoing through the courtroom like the final word in a never-ending argument. So, let me ask you, what is justice, really? Is it getting your fence back, watching the bully finally answer for their mess, or seeing a community learn what not to do the hard way? I want to hear from you. Ever had an HOA or a neighborhood power trip blow up in their face? Do you think the punishment fit the crime? Or was it too much? Drop your story, your outrage, or even your HOA horror story in the comments. I promise you're not alone. And if you want to see more of these showdowns, stick around because in this neighborhood, you never know what's waiting at the end of the driveway.